Carolina, still undefeated with a win over Oregon State to advance to its 4th straight Final Four. The Gamecocks will play NC State, who upset Texas, which means the school's women and men will be repping in the Final Four. And the Stars will be out tonight. Juju Watkins and USC take on Paige Beckers and UConn. USC is still seeking its first Final Four appearance since 1986, while UConn is looking to get there for the 23rd time. Now, before that, we'll have a rematch of last year's title game. Caitlin Clark in Iowa taking on Angel Reese in LSU. This will be the 8th championship game rematch in the NCAA tournament the following year. So a lot is on the line. Stephen A, I know we're very excited about tonight. So is Andraya and Shannon Sharpe. I'm going to start with you on this one, Stephen A.
Yeah.
Will this game impact Caitlin Clark's legacy at
Well,
all?
it all depends on how she performs. Let's get that out of the way. Let me say this first. Legitimately, I think you can look at the women's games tonight. And this is one of the biggest nights in the history of women's college basketball.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Right? And as far as I'm concerned, right now, they're more popular than the men's. Okay, we're looking at UConn, and UConn looks head and shoulders, well, even though Tennessee and Purdue, that was a phenomenal game yesterday. The bottom line is we're looking at UConn. And, Andraya, Shannon, it was 23-23. I went and got some food from Carmen. I turned around and they were down 30. It was 53-23. It was a 30-0 run. You just said, damn. I mean,
Right.
UConn is just on that level, okay? And obviously, we look at the women's game, we look at South Carolina, and that subject that we're going to broach because back-to-back undefeated regular season by Dawn Staley and the University of South Carolina is a lot to be said. But when you talk about tonight, a rematch of the national championship game,
Right.
Caitlin Clark, the best player in the game, the most renowned player in the game, going up against Angel Reese and the reigning defending champions, the national champions, that is LSU, that is the LSU Tigers. I mean, you look at a matchup like this, and this is epic. I can't wait. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be right in front of my television. I ain't missing this, okay? And I gotta tell you something. When you ask the question in terms of this game impacting Caitlin's legacy, here's how it will. It all depends on how she plays. No effect on her whatsoever if she plays lights out, but they lose, okay? Of course, it would mean the world if she wins, Andraya, Shay, but she can't stink up the joint. She can't go up against LSU. Last year, 9 of 22 shooting from the field, 8 of 19 from three-point range, 30 points, 8 assists. Wasn't a bad showing, but they still got drubbed. They lost by 17 in the national championship game to LSU. If you just don't have the team, you just don't have the team. We get that. But you, the person that's been compared to the Cheryl Millers, the Diana Taurasi's, the Breanna Stewarts of the world, and others, you can't show up in a game of this magnitude, this rematch tonight, and stink up the joint. Caitlin Clark has to show up. She has to play at an elite level. If she wins or loses, but she plays at an elite level, it's not going to matter. If she stinks up the joint and they lose, that definitely will affect her legacy in terms of the comparisons that we've thrown out there, y'all.
She's always going to be an elite scorer, but legacy as far as impact goes, it could hurt her if she plays poorly. If she plays great and they win, it helps her legacy only because they have a shot at winning the national championship. For me, seeing great performances from Caitlin is phenomenal. It's wonderful. It's fun to watch. But in terms of her resume and her legacy, the only thing that can bump it up a notch, because it's already so good, is a national championship. Getting to a Final Four is wonderful, but she needs the national title to take her legacy to the next level.
Can I ask you guys a question? How did the losing to Magic Johnson affect Larry Bird's legacy?
It didn't affect it greatly.
How did he play in that championship game? Did he drop 40?
No,
he averaged 30.
no.
He averaged 30. He averaged 33.
Right.
Caitlin Clark took a dormant program. Had we ever heard of Iowa women college basketball before Caitlin Clark? All the women that you're naming, can you name the programs they went to? UConn, Tennessee, USC. We're talking about programs that were already on the map. Caitlin Clark took a program in Iowa that's a football program and put women's college basketball on the map. I believe LSU have the better team. Caitlin Clark is a better player. Normally what we've seen is teams beat players. I don't believe you talk about the all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball. We're talking about a lady that's going to finish top 3 in assists in women's college basketball. I don't believe there's anything that she can do to harm it. Now, can she elevate it? She goes out and she has a Cheryl Swoops type of game. And we remember what she had. I think she shot 16 or 22. She ended up having 47 points in the title game against Ohio State. And I think Katie Smith was on that team. Now we're talking about it. But to knock it down, when she's coming from a program in which she came from, she put this program on the map. You can't say what woman put Tennessee on the map, what woman put UConn on the map. They've had so many. From Rebecca Lobo to Swin Cassidy, to Rana Taurasi, to Sue Bird, to Maya Moore, Tina Charles, on and on and on and on. Tennessee, on and on and on. Name somebody other than Caitlin Clark from Iowa.
Well, I don't have to, and that's my argument against
That's
you,
my point.
I'm saying I don't have to, because first of all, there is no other name other than her. You're absolutely right about that. But what I would ask you, Shannon, is to harken back and rewind the clock to the kind of discussions that we've been having with her. If you're just talking about her greatness as an individual, of course, we didn't stop there, Andrea. Andrea will confirm this. We did not stop there. We brought up all-time greats. We brought up Naismith and Wooden Award winners. We brought up champions. And so what happens is that when you're getting compared to those people as an individual, you know this hell of a lot better than me, Mr. Hall of Fame and 3-time Super Bowl champion. You know, the fact is that in the moments when we talk about greatness, when we try to define it, it's moments that do it for us. We already know she's great. We already know she's an all-time great. No question. There's nothing to talk about there. You're right about that. But when we start bringing up the Breanna Stewart's champion all 4 years, the Diana Taurasi, a 3-time Super Bowl, a 3-time champion, national champion. When we start with the Olympic gold medalists and all of this, the Maya Moores of the world, the Cheryl Millers of the world and others. When you start bringing up historical names and you're talking about her eclipsing them, you cannot have a moment with a Final Four berth on the line against a team that bounced you out in convincing fashion for the national championship last year. You can't then turn around and have that matchup and stink up the joint. I'm not saying you can't be average. I'm not saying that you have to be sensational. But what it can't be is we're looking at you and we're saying it's your fault. We can look at the team and say they're a superior team to Iowa. What we can't do is look at you as an individual and say, you wet the bed. You didn't get it done. When the moment arrived, you came up small. We cannot do that and then still mention her in the same breath as those great champions. You just can't do that.
Yeah. I agree with Stephen A. And the thing is, let me tell you all this right now. I have zero doubt in Caitlin Clark and her ability. I have so much belief in Caitlin Clark and the product that she is going to put on the floor and the skill set that she is going to show out there on the court. It might not be enough to get the win, but when we're talking about this game impacting Caitlin's legacy, I've come on the show and said this in the past. Caitlin cannot be in the GOAT conversation without a championship. So this game impacts that legacy because if she wins, she has a chance to move into the GOAT conversation. If she loses, she's not in the GOAT conversation. She could be the greatest scorer of all time. She could be one of the greatest players we've ever seen. She could be the biggest impact on the game. But when we're talking GOAT talk, you need a championship to be in that conversation. I believe if she wins a championship, her resume is goated. There's not another resume that can stack up against Caitlin Clark's with a championship on it. She's got to get a championship. So this game impacts that.
In the history of women's college basketball, we've only seen one woman, Cheryl Swoops, do what we're asking Caitlin Clark. In the history, and it goes back to the La Tech, the Lady Teamsters, when they beat Cheney State in the first round, the first one that I can remember. Now maybe there was some play before that, but I mean the La Tech, the Lady the Lady Teamsters, they won back to back. We got to go back, way back. So in the history of women's college basketball, we've seen one woman do what we're asking Caitlin Clark, the other team, the breed.
So we've seen it done before, so it's not impossible. We've seen it done before. That's what I'm saying.
Shannon, but here's where Andrea and I disagree. I don't think Caitlin Clark needs to win the championship. She's saying she does. I don't believe that. I'm saying she can't be in a game of this magnitude and stink up the joint. I don't believe she will.
She's not
too
going
gifted for that.
to.
I
That's
understand
not
that.
gonna happen.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, my goodness, what if it happened? What if she goes out there tonight and LSU completely hamstrings her, completely straps her, and she can't do anything, and she has an awful performance? That is what I am saying would be the problem. I'm not saying that if she plays well, but they don't win, Shannon, that it changes anything. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But she cannot play bad.
Andrea, I'm going to have to give you a little pushback with the GOAT. I don't know if you can be in the GOAT with one title, especially when Brianna and DT and Shamika Holdsclaw and Cheryl Miller, they have multiples, and they also have Player of the Years.
But I hear you, Shannon, but you just mentioned all of the teammates that played with them. They had WNBA first-round draft picks alongside them. So they won multiple as a program. You don't win multiple as one player. Like, you don't win multiple championships as the only 5-star recruit on the roster. You don't win multiple championships as the only player in the top 100 ranking except for one other teammate. Like, that's a sophomore. Hannah Stuelke's a sophomore. So, like, yes, there are teams that have won multiple, but those are programs, Shannon. Like, look on the list of the players that played with Brianna Stewart. There's like 6 of them still in the WNBA right now.
Yes. But you, yes. Cheryl Swoops is 6'4", 6'5".